This is Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour, hosted by Realtors Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase, who are experts in the fundamentals of buying and selling homes and other real estate properties. Now, here's Paul and Joyce.
Well, folks, I hope that you're enjoying the pleasant weather we've had the past 2 days, and we had a little bit of wind today, and that kind of tempered the temperature. I understand tomorrow's going to be wonderful, and we'll have very good weather for the Easter weekend. We will be bringing more news to you during the course of the show on the market. And the changes. Joyce has her normal standard statistics of what kind of changes have occurred. And one of the things that came up today was an article in the National Association of Realtors magazine. And I found it absolutely wonderful because it spells out what the first-time home buyer desires most and desires least in construction. And I was astounded to find that the largest percentage of people who want a key element is 83% of first-time home buyers want a laundry room and consider it an essential.
That's number one?
That's number one, Joyce. Absolutely.
That's crazy.
And number two, ceiling fan. Now, it says the study is a ceiling fan. Is it just one ceiling fan? Or is it ceiling fans in all the rooms?
Well, yeah. And it's national, because like down here, we seem to have them in all the rooms.
Yeah. And
so you make an assumption.
Number three in the poll of the 10 home features most wanted by first-time buyers conducted by the National Association of Realtors, exterior lighting. So I assume it's down lighting out of the soffits or up lighting from below, but that's a feature that I hadn't thought of. And these are things that if you're preparing your house to sell and it's in that first home buyer range, price range, these might be inexpensive items to add to your property. Number four, double kitchen sink side by side. Not the great big laundry sinks that some of the higher-priced homes have.
Right.
And now, what do you have in your house, Joyce?
I have a double sink, and I'm just replacing it, so I'm glad to know I'm replacing it with a double sink.
Okay. Now, 80% of the people say hardwood flooring. And I'm old enough to remember when it was the customary for people to buy wall-to-wall carpeting to cover up all of the hardwood, which was termed to be lower class at the time. I'm just going back into the 50s. I can remember my mother buying that and being very insistent that we have Berber. Okay, now the next 80% of people, walk-in pantry. So they want a laundry room and a walk-in pantry.
Yeah, the walk-in pantry, that's a big one with everybody we've been selling homes to lately.
But mine's both. Is that my house has a walk-in pantry / laundry room.
It's all one and the same?
Yeah, it is. That's the way we designed it. Got lots and lots of great cabinets and storage, and we'll be talking to our special guest later about that. Drinking water filtration.
Huh.
Now, we just bought a refrigerator for our newly done kitchen, and it has the outlet for water and ice, and there's a filter in there. And,
same with me.
Okay, and I've changed the filter already twice, and we've had it in the kitchen for all of about 9 months. But a little light comes on and starts blinking and says, change the filter, change the filter. And, of course, my wife said, you better fix that light. So I go by.
Change the filter.
A patio. Okay, that's a big list. That's a key element, one of the top 10. Security cameras. So ADT, Johns Brothers, and all those guys out there, and Wise and Ring, you are desirable features. And kitchen table space for eating. 77% say they definitely want kitchen table space for eating. 35% say it's got to be essential. And 42% of the 77 say that's just desirable. Do you have anything to add, Joyce?
No, that all makes sense. I am surprised, though, at some of the features. I mean, they're features that you would add as a homeowner. And you're right, those are really inexpensive things in the whole scheme of things. that can up the value of a home if that's really what the demand is.
If the only ones I see, if you don't have currently, you have a laundry closet, and there were a lot of houses built because of the lack of size, and that was driven by the economics of the era, that have laundry closets, with the bifold doors, and a lot of times they open up to a hallway. Converting those and into a pantry, I found a lot of them were in the hallway down to the bedrooms. So you can't move them unless you take up garage space. We renovated one house where we actually built out into dead space in the garage to put in a laundry room. And it worked out very well and opened up space for additional, they don't say anything about linen closet. What do you do with all your sheets and towels and all that stuff?
You just stuff them under the bed.
Well, what do? You have a linen closet?
I have a lot of linen. Yeah, I've got linen closets.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Now, we go to the dry stuff. Basically, we have an awful lot of statistics to give you on the real estate market. It continues to be very strong in many, many ways. And I think the statistics are better than my running my mouth on what I think and what I see. Joyce, let's hear what you got to say.
All right. So fortunately, the market report for March was just released last week. And this is really looking at all of March's statistics. According to the data compiled by the Real Estate Information Network, that's called RAIN, it's the competitiveness of the market, of the local market, real estate market, and the continuing lack of inventory. The median sales price of homes in Hampton Roads hit $300,000 in March, matching the region's record high set in July of last year and representing a month-over-month median sales price increase of 3%.
Okay, that's the median price. I say it every week. Median is directly in the middle. Just that thing that runs down the middle of the highway. That's the median, MEDIAN, and everything, it splits the total count right in half. So half the houses sold are below 300,000, half the houses sold are above 300,000. It's not the average.
Yeah, you're going to see the averages are much higher than that.
Yes.
So Liz Moore, who is on the board of directors with RAIN, she is stating that she expects residential inventory to remain low for the foreseeable future. And based on the uncertainty of how quickly and by how much interest rates will rise, she thinks rising interest rates could price some would-be buyers out of the market, which is not new news. We've anticipated that and have been seeing that for a while. Now, what is interesting, though, is the median number of days the homes in Hampton Roads remained on the market is 7 days.
That's incredible.
And that does sound true for the homes that we've listed and for our buyers, that's for sure.
Just when they come off that count, those days, that's from the time it hits the MLS till it goes into pending status. All contingencies are removed. So it indicates the depth to which people are not putting contingencies, home inspection contingencies. They can't do anything about a property owners or homeowners association contingency. That is not able to be waived. That is a state law. You've got to have that period. And the management companies have 14 days statutorily to produce the documents to provide to the buyer.
And that's their last actual out, where they would not default if they walked away from the property.
Yes.
So active residential listings for March total close to about 2,800. So that was up a bit. But it is down 21% year over year from 3,500 from last year. Settled residential sales for March were... How
about 2020? Let's go back 2 years. It's way down.
Yeah, 59% from 2020.
That's huge.
It is. The settled residential sales for March were 3,000, a little over 3,000, down slightly again year over year from 3,100, but up 13% from March 2020. And despite the continuing inventory crunch, the month supply of inventory for residential properties increased slightly month over month to less than 1%. Pending residential sales in March stood at 3,400, down by just 3.3% year over year, but up 14% from March 2020. And new residential construction, as we talked about this last week, sold through the MLS totaled about 319 properties. That's down year over year from 355.
The year-over-year statistic is important because it shows you the trending over a greater period of time. There can be blips in the market. You have bad weather at this selling time, and people don't go out and look at houses. Or you have travel difficulties, or you have vacations. So the month-to-month comparison is not as strong as year-to-year when these statistics are thrown out. But it's still a seller's market, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely still a seller's market, except for homes that are priced at $2 million and above. We're seeing moderate to high reduction in perceived value there.
What's the average? What's now the average price?
The average.
This is in this area. The average price in this area
in Hampton Roads, and this is average, not the median, is $343,000, up from $335,000 in February.
Is there any one of the jurisdictions that carries the highest increase?
Yeah, you're going to see on the south side, the highest increase is in Suffolk. They're up $380,000, and that's followed by Virginia Beach, which is about $392,000, actually almost $393,000. That's up 10.4%. North Carolina,
northeastern North Carolina, which is part of Southside Hampton Roads, though that's been astounding. What's its average sale price?
$434,000, up 11.9%, and again, that's where all the new builds are.
Folks, and the reason those new builds are in North Carolina is that it's an easier permitting process, bluntly, representing builders and developers. I've seen it. There has been, and I don't want to say it's a concerted attempt, but it's certainly occurred over the past several years that the jurisdictions have made it somewhat more difficult for developers to go through all the processing. Mm-hmm. Additionally, because of the water that surround us, the waters that surround us, rivers, creeks, marshes, there is always the concern for the wetlands retention, and it restricts the amount of land that can be built. I have a piece of property on the market in Suffolk. We've had several contracts that have washed because there is a small creek bed in the back, and there is a 100-foot buffer, which cuts down the space available to build a commercial establishment. So we have to figure out a way to solve that. There's more. I'm sorry, I stepped on you. Go ahead.
No, it's good information. On the peninsula, the average sales price for Newport News is $254,000. That's up 6.9%. For York and Poquoson, we're looking at $385,000, 7.2% increase. And Williamsburg, $445,000, up 16.4% over last year. So despite the high prices, home transactions received an average of 6.6 offers in Virginia. The national average is 6 offers. So that's pretty impressive.
You know, we have 2 minutes to go to break. So when we come back, we're going to discuss very quickly some of the occurrences nationally from the headlines, and then we're going to welcome our special guest, Kat Strathmore from Rock Solid Surfaces. This is Paul Fuqua, Rosenwobble, and this is the Real Estate PB&J Hour. We look forward to you coming back to us in just a few minutes. If you've just joined us, you're listening to the Real Estate PB&J Hour here on Money Talk 1310 AM, 100.9 FM, or on the web, live streamed at moneytalk1310.com. If you have any questions, and I hope you do, please feel free to call us at 757-497-1310. Let me say that again. 757-497-1310. Dino's laughing because the last time I did that, never mind.
I did that.
Yeah. Okay. When we left, we were talking about the state of the market and some neat stuff. And before we get to our special guest, I want to go over one thing that seemed to be pertinent, and we didn't touch on it. There are some key points because of that are happening in the market nationally because of the change in the mortgage interest rates. Joyce, what can you tell us?
Okay, so this is based on a CNBC report. Diana Olick had posted this. Rising mortgage rates are causing more home sellers to lower their asking prices. So about 12% of homes for sale had a price drop during the 4 weeks ending April 3rd. That's up from 9% a year ago, according to Redfin. The rates of sellers dropping their asking prices is now growing faster each month than it has since August, according to OLIC. And the number of new listings last week jumped 8% from a year ago. Remember, this is national, according to Realtor.com. This follows 4 straight weeks of annual declines in new listings. So that's good news that we've got an increase in the listings. And
it's a good news if you are searching for a house. It brings more competition into the market if you are selling a house. The idea that it's going to immediately sell the first day you put it on the market will be true if the house is prepared to the nth degree and meets every expectation in a buyer that is set by the price point at which the house is listed.
Yeah, that's right. And as you know, buyers are sweating because of the average rate on the 30-year fixed mortgage really took off in the past few weeks, surpassing 5%. And that's according to Mortgage News Daily.
Now, folks, I'm going to sound like an old dog chewing on an old bone, but 5% is a still historically low percentage. Because I can recall celebrating, and I've talked about this before in the show, celebrating that I had a 7.5% mortgage. And I know there was a time when we were selling houses at a 17% per annum interest rate. So the issue is, what are you comfortable with spending on a monthly basis for the home that provides protection and solace and warmth for you and your family? Okay, now we have a special guest talking about homes and warmth and neat stuff. We have Kat Strathmore of Rock Solid Surfaces. I'm going to tell you also, if you have any questions for Kat, and we hope that you will have them because she knows an awful lot about countertops and cabinets and all that kind of stuff, call us at 757-497-1310. Now, if you'd rather follow up with us after the show, you can contact me at fuquayhomesales.com or Joyce at carcasehomesales.com. Okay? Kat, you are a special guest, and you represent Rock Solid Surfaces here in Virginia Beach, and I know this. Rock Solid is a second-generation family. It's been operating in Virginia Beach for 40 years, and it's been fabricating countertops for over 20 years, and it was one of the first shops to switch over to the fully automated equipment to fabricate, and that was 9 years ago. Now, I'm stealing some of your thunder, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's my show. In 2018, Rock Solid updated its equipment once again to provide its consumers with the best possible product. Kat, welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 AM. And tell the folks out there who are listening how long you've been in this business.
Well, thanks for having me tonight, Paul. I've been in the business about 15 years on and off. Started out actually designing kitchens for folks, and ended up going into the granite business about 15 years ago.
And I bet I can only imagine how many different scenarios you can describe of horror shows and very pleasant. What's the worst situation you've ever walked into where somebody said, I got to redo the kitchen?
Worst case scenario.
Caught you by surprise, didn't it?
Yeah, you totally caught me by surprise. So you mean like in terms of what we needed to do to make it right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, I've been very fortunate. I haven't had a lot of horror stories in that regard. Our challenges sometimes are once the fabrication begins, or there's some certain changes that you weren't made aware of. But generally, when you walk into a property and you see what you're faced with, I would say the hardest thing that in general would be like if someone is going to move a wall and then something doesn't turn out as it is, and you've designed and ordered that way, and then all of a sudden you're stuck. Particularly now with the timeline of ordering cabinets being what they are, if you've moved something and it didn't turn out like it was supposed to, then all of a sudden you're short cabinets, and you have to redo your countertops and what have you. So I'd say that would probably be one of the worst.
Now, Rock Solid, you offer far more than just countertops.
Oh, absolutely. We do cabinets as well. We have both custom cabinets and manufactured, both semi-custom, custom lines. Both, you can go fully custom, or you can have us make them
It all depends on the depth of your wallet. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I've seen
The sky's
kitchens.
the limit.
Yeah, I know, and you smile when it's big time, but don't you?
Oh, well, I like them all, honestly.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to talk into that mic a little more.
Okay.
So we don't lose you. Now, beyond granite, what other countertop materials do you offer?
Well, we offer fabrication of all natural stone and manufactured quartz products. We can do marble, quartzite, soapstone, granite, but only thing we don't do is porcelain and sintered stone. So pretty much anything natural or man-made quartz we do fabricate.
How about butcher block? Does anybody?
We don't cut butcher block,
Right.
but I've got a good guy who I can help you with on that if you need it.
Now, let me ask you another question. Granted, I saw an ad somewhere recently, and it may have been on Facebook or late night television, where they were talking about sealant, putting a sealant down on granite. Now, granite's an awfully hard surface. Do you need to seal that for some reason?
The stone comes sealed from the quarry. When they cut it, they will typically do a little bit of sealing along the cut edges that they've turned around and polished. It's recommended, just like anything, like a buyer beware sort of thing, they're going to recommend that you seal your granite. Some people say every year, some people, it really depends on your usage. I had a granite countertop that I never really cooked on or did anything and didn't seal it for 6 years, but all I'm doing is, wiping it with soap and water every now and then. But generally speaking, the more you use your kitchen, if you're cutting meats and things on it and stuff like that, it is a natural stone. It is porous, and therefore it does require some sealing. You'll often know when it's in need of that. Sometimes, particularly with the lighter stones, you'll get some, water. The water will start to stain and
Can you get those stains out of granite?
Granite stains typically dry out. Where you run into some issues is with like your marbles and your quartzites. Those are things that you really, really need to talk to us about. You don't usually get those out very easily. No.
Now, what about the artificial stuff? I can remember when Corian and Wilson Art were really, really big in the market. I don't see much of that. Do you?
No. Rock Solid used to fabricate Corian, but the need wasn't there as much, and so we no longer do that. I have only had one person in the last 5 years ask for a Corian countertop, and typically what folks like about that is the integrated sink in there, no seam lines or sink lines or anything like that. So that's been the biggest for that.
If I have a client that has Corian countertops and sink and it needs repair, should they call Rock Solid Surface or no?
No, we don't really deal in it anymore.
You deal with none of that, none of the lines.
Corian.
No Corian, or how about Wilson Art?
No.
Which was okay.
No.
None of the poured
strictly natural stone.
How about cultured marble?
No, we don't do cultured marble either.
Folks, cultured marble was stuff that was being sold, for 20 or 30 years, and it's plastic, and it's what's used for your toilet bowls, and you think it's stone, and it's not. It's poured plastic. Am I right?
Well, they've actually, the builder business back when I did cabinets years ago, that was big in the builder business for all the master vanities, the guest vanities, what have you. I, believe it or not, I have walked into, within the past 2 years, I walked into an over $600,000 new construction home, and it had cultured marble in the master.
Where do they get it?
Oh, there are suppliers in town you can order from, but it's just you don't see it as much. Granite has become somewhat affordable, so that it's an upgrade. Well, I mean, now with the supply chain issues and everything, that's probably the wrong thing to say. Yeah. But prices have gone up substantially. But it's an upgrade that most builders will go ahead and do, like a level 1 granite typically when they're starting out. So
Uba Tuba.
You don't see much. Oh man, we've got a few samples sitting.
I'm showing my age.
That's like it's almost like an antiquated.
Don't say that, Kat. You hurt my feelings.
No, hey, listen, I had what Verdi butterfly in mine, which is a little bit like a Uba Tuba.
This is you have to understand. If you've been in this business as long as I have, you've seen pretty much everything. But my question to you is, where has the movement been with regard to the colors of the countertops? It used to be you had dark, and it was always dark, and you didn't like off brown unless everything was brown. What's going on today?
Well, the trend for a while now has been mostly the whites, and particularly with the gray veining to kind of simulate the marble look.
Right.
That's still very, very popular. What I have seen coming in down the line is a lot of gold now. Folks are wanting, instead of just the bright white and the gray, or black veining, then they want to bring the golds in, maybe bring the warmer whites in. We've seen a trend towards that, and we've also seen a trend towards more like blues and greens.
In the countertops?
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
Both in natural stone and quartz offerings. So, a lot of the natural stones, you'll go into the different distribution facilities and you'll see a lot of blues right now. There's still the natural browns and things like that, but yeah, the majority of what we're doing is still whites and grays. I mean, all day long, quartz 95% of the time.
Now, I remember that it used to be that you could go to the yard or the facility and you could choose your slab. Is that still, I mean, it sounds almost like going to the morgue. I'm going to choose my slab, but is that still being done? Do you still offer that?
Absolutely. So typically there is like for Rock Solid, we have a stock offering. Usually the stock offerings are things that we buy in bulk and we can offer you a good value on. And you also are free to go to any of the distribution centers locally and you can pick your stone there and we can, help you work a design. A lot of times when you've got stone that have dimension to them or any type of veining, then, you might need to have a little bit more material and all of that. But yeah, I mean, we encourage you to come and select your stone. Most of it is custom stuff. Now, I deal mostly with custom homeowners, not so much the builder business anymore. So it is a bring your customer in, let them select whether they choose something that you have in stock or you go with them to the supply yards too.
At what point in the process of redesigning my kitchen do we come in to the countertops? Do we design the layout first and then the cabinetry and then make a decision on the countertop, or how do you work that?
I would say, so the biggest thing that I've seen is if you're in the process of designing your kitchen, the one thing that you should take into consideration if you're going to have a large island, to consider, number one, whether you're using natural stone or quartz, because the slab sizes vary. There's a kind of a general natural slab size, and then quartz slabs vary. So if you
let me break in there.
Yeah.
Quartz is a poured product.
Quartz is a man-made product,
okay.
Yes.
So, folks, it doesn't burn. It's like 95% chips.
92, 93%.
The stuff we've got, it looks like in some areas right on the corners because they're the little clear bits of something, and it almost looks like something is missing. And I try to fix it, and I can't fix it. My wife laughs at me. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go back.
So anyway, I would say that in beginning your design, if you at least take your island into consideration,
right.
And then because if a slab came 132 inches long and you made your island 134 inches, then you're going to end up with a seam in it, and that would be probably the least desirable thing. I mean, right. You're going to most likely, if you have a large kitchen, going to end up with a seam in your perimeter, but those are, nicely done. You don't have to worry about it. But on your peninsulas and your islands, I would say that's a big part of your design to consider the stone that you're going to use.
Okay. Dino, how are we on time? Do we want to are we coming up on a break? Okay, we got 5 more minutes. All right, can you explain to me the process of installation? We're going to get into some stuff when we come back, but the process so that I'm doing my kitchen, and you come in and we design it, and I'm changing out the floors. I'm not moving walls, but all the plumbing is going back where it was. It's just dressing this thing up.
Yeah.
What do we do first? Do we put the flooring down, then the cabinets, then the measurements, then the fabrication, and then we're done?
I like to see you put your floor down first, because if there's ever a situation where you had to replace a cabinet, or you wanted to, a few years down the line, tweak something and add on, and then all of a sudden, if you don't have that flooring underneath, you may not have flooring to match or what have you. Or folks, I've redone their kitchens before where the flooring didn't run under, and then all of a sudden now they've got to replace.
I'm one of those. I got
flooring.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my recommendation for new folks is to go ahead and, if you're going to do your flooring, go ahead and do your flooring first, and then put your cabinets down.
Okay. So the flooring goes down.
Yep.
And now we've already sat down with you and roughed out kind of what we want.
Yep.
And what do you do then?
Okay, so you get your cabinets on order. When the cabinets come in and they're set, then our team comes in and we do the template.
Right.
And it's all digital template. Everything is done by laser now, and so it's very, very accurate.
Right.
And then we go back to the shop, we photograph, we put it all on a digital layout, and then we figure out how much material is going to be needed, and that's the way we would price your tops from there.
Now let's talk best case scenario. What's the time frame from setting the cabinets to installing the countertops?
Usually within 2 weeks. I mean, our turnaround, it can vary. It depends on how busy you are, but in general, 7 to 10 day turnaround from template to install.
Right.
Depends on whether it falls on a weekend or what have you.
Right.
And then again, like what else is down line. But generally about a 7 to 10 day turnaround.
Well, that's actually excellent.
Yeah.
Now, that's normal scenario?
That's normal scenario.
That's not now. Is that right?
No, that's normal scenario. We're doing some 7 day turnarounds, and I mean, and if let's say you call me and say, "Oh my God, I've got a special scenario here. I need a quicker turnaround. Can you help me?" Call me. Let me see what we can do.
Okay.
Sometimes we work magic.
Do you know we're going to go to break? Stay tuned. We're listening to Kat Strathmore with Rock Solid Surfaces. This is Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase with Rosen Womble. You're listening to the Real Estate PB&J Hour. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rosen Womble Realtors, Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
Welcome back. This is Joyce Carcase with Paul Fuqua, and we are continuing our interview with Kat Strathmore of Rock Solid
Surfaces.
Surfaces, yes.
Rock Solid Surfaces. You got to get it right.
And actually, before we broke, we were talking about time frames as far as what it would take from the time that you're doing the digital imprint or outlay of the entire kitchen to the time that you finish the project. And we just wanted to clarify that because we were talking about the cabinets as well as the countertops and the flooring, which you don't deal with that aspect of it. You had said it would be 2 weeks. Is that correct?
So the 2 weeks, that's talking more about the countertop portion. So if you wanted to come to me and you say, I want to do my cabinets and my countertops, I've got my floors in, I'm ready to go, then it's a matter of just discerning what type of cabinet you want, whether it's going to be anywhere from a 6 to 8 week lead time up to an 18-week lead time. You know, depending, our lead time out in the industry, there's still some of them are 15, 16 weeks out. Our lead time right now is about 4 to 6 weeks, which is really, really good. It can run, 4 to 8 weeks, but in general, 4 to 6 weeks. On a custom cabinet, it really just depends on what jobs we have in the shop at the time. And then, it's best to just let's talk about what you're going to do. So it could be let's use an average of about 6 weeks. You get your cabinets on order. From there, you get the cabinets scheduled to be set. From the time that they're set, usually within a day or two, we would schedule to come in and template from the cabinets for the countertop install, which would then be about another 7 to 10 day turnaround from that. So the timeline varies just depending on what the back order time is on your cabinets.
Kat, thank you for amplifying that. We didn't want to get in a situation where we're misinforming our listener base.
That'd be great if you could get cabinets.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
And be finished.
I'll tell a quick tale. My daughter's redoing a house, her house in Austin, Texas, and it's custom cabinetry. She spent a significant amount of money on this house and the redo. They blew it out in all directions, and it's been 9 months for her cabinetry.
Wow.
Well, we realized that part of it's COVID, part of it's the design and the execution, because she's really striding about using Texas wood, and she's turned into a Texan on me. But one of the questions I had is renovating a kitchen. We've already said it can be daunting. We know now that we've got to have the flooring down, and then we have designed the cabinets, and we've got a certain time frame. But how do you advise clients that call you in? What's the best way to maximize their dollar? Where do you go cheap? Do you go cheap on the countertops? You go cheap on the cabinets? You keep on the turntables, in the corners and stuff like that?
I think that you walk into a kitchen, and if you're not going to do any major changes to the layout of the kitchen, like you're not moving any walls, you're not adding anything,
right,
you're basically keeping that. If you've got a nice structurally sound cabinet, it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep the cabinet and maybe reface the doors, maybe even paint them. Maybe they've been dark and now you want to just lighten them up, and that can give a whole fresh feel and save you money. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about getting into changing your floors and doing all that stuff that sometimes comes with replacing cabinets. If you've got a backsplash already installed and the backsplash is fine, if you just repaint your doors or put new doors on, then you've saved yourself flooring, you've saved yourself backsplash, things like that. So that's always something good to do. In terms of countertops, granite is still the cheapest in terms of whether you're dealing with quartz versus granite or quartzites or any of that. Like a level 1 granite is going to be a fairly affordable way to get into a top. We do have some value quartz lines that we offer that for a little bit more money, not a ton, we can get you into a nice quartz top as well. So
what about marble?
Marble and quartzite are really buyer beware sorts of things. Like, they're beautiful. If you're going to go to Italy and you want to enjoy the beauty of the marble, that's one thing. And there are definitely purists who love the natural marble look. Marble, not to, it's going to sound, it pits, it bruises, it stains. But for those folks who are prepared for that, if it chips or whatever and it adds to the beauty, then so be it. But we have you sign a waiver when you do either quartzite or marble. I mean, even granite has, things that you have to be aware of and just recognize that it's a natural product and it is gonna stain. So.
Go ahead, Joyce. You have a question.
I do. Okay. My question was going to be back to, we talked about low budget options for buyers. I think you answered that pretty well. Do you do the finishing for the cabinets if they wanted to refinish the cabinets?
We can make new doors, and we could make new doors for cabinets because of our custom shop. We could totally do that. But those are definitely some options that you could seek out. I mean, a painter would come in and paint your box. I mean, and again, because I have worked with contractors in the past, I can help you if you need some additional services. But we would definitely be able to make you new doors for your cabinets, for your existing cabinets, if you chose not to replace.
There was a time when almost every kitchen had a work desk in it. Do you still see those?
I have not done a work desk in a kitchen in many years. I see folks working at their islands more than anything. So a lot of times an island, maybe that was a raised bar top island, people are converting to single level islands so that the kids can do their homework, or you can maybe pull your laptop up and do some work from home and be in the kitchen and where everything's happening.
How about polished concrete as a surface?
Never done it, never seen it.
Okay. How about stainless steel?
Not done that either.
Okay.
I have seen some wood tops as accent pieces, but generally, like I said, 95% quartz. A little bit of natural stone. There are some folks who just want that natural feel and that natural look. So,
okay. Do you have a source for tile?
We do.
Backsplash?
Yep. I can help recommend that, and get you lined up with somebody, and we'll try to get you matched up.
Is there any advantage to people, and I don't want to gore you, but is there any advantage to people going up to that place in Pembroke, that huge whatever it is?
That's a great Floor and Decor.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks go up there.
Right.
There's some great tile shops out there, and there's so much to choose from.
Right.
We don't offer a tile backsplash, but we can help advise. And
I think the big issue is who's going to put it up.
the other option, if you don't want to do a tile backsplash, is you can do the full height stone backsplash, whether it's quartz or
really?
quartzite, whatever you're using on your countertop surface. You can also run that up as your backsplash, which is kind of a cool look too.
Okay, we're coming down to we got about 10 more minutes. Okay, go ahead, Joyce has a question.
Okay, so when you're advising your clients about how to set up their kitchen, what are the 3 key things that you ask them so that you know that you're giving them exactly what it is that they need to, to accommodate their lifestyle?
Well, I mean, just a general conversation of, is there anyone working from home? Do you bake? Any hobbies going on there that you would need a larger surface, a work surface from? How important would it be to have like a wet bar or a coffee station or something like that? So just finding out the habits of the family, and then just seeing how you can incorporate that into any special add-ons or anything like that might help them serve.
What about the magic triangle, the cooking triangle? I love that idea. It does exist, right?
Oh, it's a thing. It's a real thing.
And so that you can reach your refrigerator and you can reach the counter, and what's the other thing?
Well, it's an ideal situation where you don't have your refrigerator at one end of the room and then your stove all the way at the other, and then your sink back at the other end. It's so that you can have a nice work area within
walking distance. Without a commute.
It would be ideal, but it doesn't always work out perfectly.
Okay, all right. Now, How do people get a hold of you?
You can reach me by my cell phone at 757-620-2506, or you can email me at cats26@live.com. That's CATS26@live.com.
Okay, and your company is?
Rock Solid Services.
Okay. We are now going to take a short break so the advertisers can have their way with us. And you've been listening to the Real Estate PB&J Hour with Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase from Rosenwomble. Listen in. This is Paul Fuqua. Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour here on Money Talk 1310 AM, 100.9 FM, and MoneyTalk1310.com. Now, we've got about 6 minutes to close out, and I hope you enjoyed this broadcast and are learning a little more about the market and investment opportunities and some of the things you as a homeowner can do to enhance your living in what is currently your home, and if you are going to be preparing it to sell it. I recently had a client who is mulling over selling his home and moving into a different locale within the city, and he questioned me about kitchen redo because he wanted to spend an inordinate amount of money to redo the kitchen so it was their dream kitchen. And I asked him why. He said, well, because that's what we want to do. And I said, but you're not going to live in it for the rest of your life. Why don't you do a very serviceable job but save the dream kitchen for the next house that will be much more of a long term? In the meantime, if there's a subject we haven't covered during the course of this show in this particular venue or this particular discussion, please feel free to call me. It's Paul Fuqua at 757-449-7463. Joyce, your number?
Yeah, and my number is 757-324-2445.
And you can reach either of us. I'm at FuquaHomesales.com. Joyce is at Carcase, CARCAISE, homesales.com. And if you subscribe to the YouTube chart, our YouTube chart, let me get the word out.
If you subscribe to our YouTube channel,
yes,
the Real Estate PB&J Hour, you can listen to past episodes, and I think they'll be helpful, especially if you're out there trying to find some new properties or trying to figure out what you want to do if you're staying inside.
And it costs you nothing to subscribe. It's just a click. And hopefully you can do that so that they'll give us a little more credence in the market. And this whole situation with our economy and with the change in the rates and the paucity of inventory has made buying and selling homes particularly stressful. And hopefully either Joyce or I can assist you in making the process of putting your house on the market or finding a house that you'd like to find. We can help you navigate the waters. They're somewhat roiled because we do have experience, and we're more than happy to share our experience and educate you to the best of our ability. You can call us or email us and get a free copy of the 31 tips on how to sell your home for the greatest return. And it highlights some proven strategies we use to sell homes in the area. I did a 3D tour today of a very highly priced condo, and it's going to be delightful, and people will enjoy it. And those are the types of things that we bring to the party for you if you choose to use either Joyce or myself as your listing agent. I'm going to give you my number again. You can contact me at 757-449-7463 or online at FuquaHomesales.com. And the other elements we have coming up are further discussions of the financial aspects of owning a home, the areas of concentration when you're preparing a house to bring it on the market. Joyce, what else do we have coming up? Do you know of?
Appraisals. A lot of people don't realize what it is that can do for them. It can work for them, and it also can work against them. We really help you navigate through that process as well.
We hope to have for our next week an appraiser as yet not named who can give you what an appraiser looks at beyond just the raw numbers of what has sold in the neighborhood. But the value of your home is predicated on the monies that were spent by buyers of properties of similar nature in your neighborhood or within a 1 or 2 mile radius. That's who chooses the pricing range for you. And that's the appraiser takes that information and provides a snapshot in time that says his or her opinion of the property's value on this day is this amount. And today, there are a great many people who are putting enough money down as a down payment, and they are waiving the appraisal. Yet, I think they're short-circuiting themselves by skipping that step. They need not have it apply to their loan, but it gives them a basis for future development of the property and its value. And we hope to touch on that next week. So we look forward to your tuning in
to the PB&J, the Real Estate PB&J Hour on 100.9 FM, Money Talk 1310, and 1301 AM.
This is Paul Fuqua, Rosenwalmer Realty. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to you having a wonderful Easter and a great week. Until next Thursday, stay tuned in. Bye.
Preceding program on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 was a paid advertisement. The views, statements, and opinions expressed are solely those of the host, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for the content of the show and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Max Media, LLC, or its staff, management, or sponsors.